My name is John and I'm at Paint School on Instagram. I've done over $15 million in paint jobs and I'm based out of Huntington Beach, California. Aaron is at Alpha Painting on Instagram. He's managed huge commercial projects with impossible timelines and now is a few years into building his own operation out of Branson, Missouri.
And you should probably check out our full process videos on YouTube because they're pretty badass.
Our point in doing this podcast is to put our 40 plus years of combined experience to the test. We've seen a decline in the industry, and while I think it's a bit arrogant to think we can change it, we're giving it a shot. Listen up and let us know what you think. This is Paint Sniffers Podcast. All right, so we're back on with our number one guest of the year, Sam the Right Painter. You have all the votes so far for best guest of the year, so congratulations.
I should be a regular. Just have me on once a week. I'll be fun. It's fun.
Yeah. I think we're gonna do our big FPE episode maybe in a couple weeks, huh? Maybe episode 10. We'll do that one.
Are you done with all of your samples and stuff?
I'm over it.
Yeah. Now imagine doing like a fucking $20,000 fucking cabinet package with that shit.
So if I were at this point right now, like doing a big project with it, I would probably tell the clients like, hey, we have to switch products,
Yeah.
Or you pay another $20,000 and give me another 3 months to work on it. Like let them see where I'm at with it. Let them check the products themselves, like see where it's at. And okay, so I think we'll get caught up on Aaron's project. You've got the big Centurion project going on. 60 or 70 gallons interior. It's basically all like tongue and groove ceiling, shiplap walls, right? Everything.
Yeah, it's all shiplap. I tried to get them to, at first they wanted me to just paint everything. And at first I tried to convince them to keep the shiplap ceilings, car-sided ceilings. It's all car-sided ceilings and walls. And I try to get them to install shiplap on the walls to give it like a modern look, like some pre-prime shiplap, and they just wanted to paint it. So the goal with this project for me is to test run Centurion for the customer. They're kind of still looking for like a rustic look, so I'm putting in all this effort into painting it. I had the doors and jambs replaced, but it's still going to be, fairly rustic, man.
I like when they say rustic look.
Yeah. I mean, I spent 2 weeks pre-sanding, so there's not really, I'm not like cutting any corners or anything, but like, so the thing is there's a shit ton of nail holes on the walls. The ceilings, the beams sit over the ceilings, so, there's not much puttying to do. And then, all new doors and jambs, so everything's getting caulked and putty and all that. But, so it's going to be 2 coats of the 1107 primer, and then, 2 coats of the 400 series 1K with sanding between all coats. So there's no, it's not like a half-ass fucking job or anything. But by rustic, I mean, we're going to fill nail holes, but we're going to leave like knot holes and cracks and voids and stuff open.
So is it a new build or?
No, it's an existing log cabin. It was looks like it was built in the like early mid 90s.
How do you like the stain blocking so far?
So when you shoot, so I did with Catalyst. I think what is it? Technically the ratio would be 4-1. So I'm roughly at or no, it's not 4-1. Yeah, I think it's 4-1.
That's pretty high, right?
Yeah. And so it's 1 quart. It's roughly 1 quart of Catalyst per gallon.
Yeah, it's a lot. So what's a gallon? 125 ounces? Is that right?
I'm not sure.
So 10% would be 12.5 ounces. How many in a quart would be what, like 40
I did all my math and then, marked all my mixing pots and stuff. I got a 5-gallon bucket that I measured off with 3 gallons of water and then made marks in it so I could fill my paint up to the 3 gallon marker and then know that I'm at like, I think it was like 28 ounces or some shit. So with the 1107 in terms of stain blocking, also one thing to throw out there, like any guys that are looking to use this shit, um, I have noticed, so I got multiple fives, which is not typical in this product. People are going to be doing cabinets and getting it in singles, so my volume is extremely high. So I got as many fives as I could of the 1107, and the fives that I got were probably half as thin as the singles, and that threw me off. Like I shot it at 2 mils with I went ahead and started with 1 teaspoon of thickening agent, and I shot it at 2 mils, and it just wanted to fucking run. The good thing in terms of fixing that was the runs kind of just faded out and bled back into themselves. So I didn't really have to go through and sand much shit out. But that right off the bat, I was like, dude, fuck this product. Like it's like Chem Aqua. So once I got into the singles, I noticed how much thicker it was. But so judging from the singles, I am technically at 60 milliliters of thickening agent, which is like 13 times what they fucking say. But I like it. I like it at 60 milliliters per gallon of thickening agent and 28 ounces catalyst. I think it's 28 ounces. It's a fucking quart or so.
Did you contact them at all about the viscosity difference?
Yeah, the rep that I bought this stuff from I think it's like Johnson or whatever is where I got set up with. The dude went ahead and sent me 2 quarts of thickening agent and comped them to me, which is like, I think they're selling them for like $68 a quart. But
That's cool.
I like, once I got the viscosity figured out, I like the product. Now in term yeah, in terms of stain blocking, this is all over cedar. The guy at first, he's like, what are you putting it on? He's like, because oak is like one of the hardest things to stain block, and I've never seen anyone have to put more than one coat over oak for stain blocking. And I'm like, well, dude, this is cedar. And he's like, oh yeah, cedar's the hardest stain block. You know what I mean? he,
Yeah.
he
Yeah, it's
changed
super
he
porous.
changed his
Yeah.
tone. But anyway, so when you shoot this shit, you can, over a period of like 30 minutes or so, you can just watch the stains pull to the surface. Now they say that, even though the stains come to the surface, that it is blocked.
Locked in. Yeah.
I'm not fucking taking chances on it, so I shot 2 coats. um Now I still saw some shit come through in areas. Now the windows, I bought like a case, which was like, I think it was like 16 cans of their pigmented vinyl sealer,
Mm.
and I vinyl sealed all the windows, and I still have a little bit of stains coming through with 2 coats of 1107 and 1 coat of vinyl sealer. But the areas that it's coming through is like where the windows leaked, and there was water stains plus tanning bleed coming through, so it was understandable. But um I think it's gonna be all right. And then our walls are gray, so I'm not gonna
No,
really, with
no
two
need.
coat, yeah, 2 coats of 1107, and then the walls getting gray, like, kind of gives me a good basis.
Just pick a color that's darker than the tannin.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
You're good.
and then the ceilings are like a bone white, so they have a yellowish tone. So I don't think I would have a problem on the ceilings as well. So
I found the same thing with Envirolac. Like it covered about 99% of the tannin, and a few random spots it didn't hit on the second coat or the first coat of top, and I just took some cover stain in a can and hit that real
yeah,
quick.
I think I'm doing. The reason I'm spending all this money on this is, for one, it wasn't like, hey, I want to use this as a job for fucking trying a new 2K coating. It was the fact that the customer would not allow any solvent borne products in this house. She's scared she's going to have allergic reactions and blah blah blah. So I'm like, okay, well, here's, these products here, but they're expensive. And I said, this would be a test run. I could be upwards of 4 to 5 coats to get these on here properly. So, do you really want to spend that kind of money on it, or you want to just let me shellac and go with a standard architectural coating? So,
That's
Nice.
the right
As
move,
long as
right?
they're
That's
willing to pay
where,
for it. Yeah.
yeah, that's the right move. Is and that a lot of companies don't do that. It's like they're whatever the customer says. Um, so for
I'm
one,
not
like that's
using
a
milk
big
paint.
test. Yeah.
yeah.
Right.
Dude, I was just in the paint store today, and there was this dude that uh almost came to work for me when I ran logistics for the last company I worked for, and he kind of got scared out of it after I talked to him, but um he was in there and they were specking him for tile clad and Rex stain, which tile clad's high solids epoxy and doesn't have any UV protectants, so you can top coat it with Rexthane, which is a moisture cure urethane, which has the UV protectants. And he was fixing to go over like a polished floor, and I think the paint store had previously told him to diamond grind, but he was in there getting MSDS and data pages and stuff for this product, and I just looked over at him and I was like, dude, don't fucking do it. Just don't fucking do it. If they don't want to pay for diamond grinding, don't do it. I promise you.
Diamond grind or waste your time. That's my philosophy on epoxy floors. Like, yeah, yeah. I've never acid washed a floor in my career.
Yeah,
No.
I will do a muriatic acid wash and neutralize and do like a high solids epoxy, but I have to be 100% sure it was never sealed.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't dilute that shit down like people do. I shoot straight muriatic acid on that shit.
Yeah, the
I
thing I
want to be
always
able
worry
to.
about with it is having moisture left. It's like you have to test it. You can't do a quick turnaround on something like that. Because you have to get all that acid off and then you have to get it super dry. You can't have any moisture trapped in there.
I'll wash and I'll neutralize, in the same day, and I'll put fans in there and I'll let it sit for, 3 or 4 days. Now the thing with products like Rexthane is, with it being a moisture cure urethane, you can have a higher moisture content in your
Mm,
concrete.
yeah, okay.
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, I see a lot of people who are like all about just doing acid wash on a garage floor epoxy, and it's crazy.
Yeah. My turnover times on those, I don't want to wait. I'm just like,
No.
just go
Yeah,
rent a grinder, and I have the
well,
handheld one to
yeah,
Yeah,
edge
no.
it. And
I
it's
don't
only a
try
couple
and sell
hours.
those. It's usually like, hey, can you do our garage floor? And it's either yes or no. But dude, it's not for me. Like, I'm not going to spend 10 grand on a diamond grinder and then
Yeah,
just hope that I can start getting into it. You know what I
right.
mean?
Yeah, we rent them. I just rent a
yeah, same.
grinder.
I think
Yeah.
I get mine for like 120 a day, and
Hmm.
I'm usually done with it in a half day, and so it's half price. So
Yep. Yeah. Same
plan
here.
plan accordingly.
I think I have to I got to rent mine from the town above, so I got to drive like 45 minutes to go rent one, and it's not fucking worth it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I charge accordingly just to cover all the bases. With any job I do now, I charge for Murphy, and if we get it, we don't have to worry about Murphy's law.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So, yeah, I mean, that's a big ass project to be testing shit out on.
Well, the cool thing is that like I'm not constrained to spraying for fucking, 20 30 minutes and then waiting,
Right.
I get to spray large areas at once and kind of put it to the test.
Yeah.
What are you shooting it through, and what size tip?
So, I shot the now with the 400 series that does not catalyze. I am at 30 milliliters of thickening agent, and the viscosity of it with 30 milliliters seems to be about the same type of viscosity as emerald urethane. So for the type of coating that it is, it's pretty comfortable to shoot if you thicken it. Now, all these guys that are shooting these products, or you hear them shooting them out of the can. Oh, it's got great vertical hang and all this shit. Like, I don't know what fucking world they grew up in, dude. But you know what I mean? Like that shit
I do.
ran on me in 2 fucking mils, dude. And
There are some differences though, because so I'm using almost only Ilva. I've done Renner a few times, but Ilva is the main product I'm using, and that's thick. That's like
yeah,
I sent you a little video, right? Stick the stir stick in there, and it'll stand up.
Yeah, to me, it looks like at 30 milliliters, um, in the 400 series Centurion, it looks to be probably 20 to 30% lighter than the Ilva, in my opinion.
Right, right.
You know,
Yeah.
Yeah, Envirolac is super thin, and like I'm spraying it so fast, just 2 to 3 coats because it dries real fast. Even uncatalyzed, I'm like my hands moving.
yeah. Yeah, dude.
Just
Fuck all that. So with the,
yeah,
and I talked to the rep, and he was like, I'm like, dude, just tell me right off the bat, am I gonna break spec if I put as much thickening agent as I want into this? And he said no. I don't know if that's right or not, but I have adjusted the product to my liking, and I like it since I have adjusted it to the viscosity that I like. Um, the 1107 is still shooting a little thinner than the 400 series, but it's manageable. So I'm in a production environment. So I versus using like a 308, I used a 310, and I was considering using like a 410 to 412 and just thickening the product, so I could turn it out. But I had a decent pacing with a 310. It's kind of annoying shooting ceilings and walls with a fucking a 310, but um, I've only got into the 400 series once to shoot my cabinets because, I primed everything. And then we prepped and painted the cabinets, then bagged those off, prep and paint the door jambs with emerald urethane, then bag those off. Then I'm going to do the walls in the 400 series, bag those off, then shoot the ceilings last in 400 series. But, um,
brilliant.
I shot a I shot the cabinets with a 308, and I kind of just tried to treat it like I would emerald urethane, and it held, dude. So the 400 series has pretty good vertical hang, and the 1107, dude. If you jack that shit with 60 milliliters, it has decent vertical hang too.
Yeah, so we with the Ilva, we can build it up. I mean, it's really pretty dummy proof. Like it doesn't run very easily. Um, we had one color that we did maybe a month ago, and my guy calls me up and he's like, "Hey, did they make this product different or something like that? Like, because it was really thin." And he's like, "I have to spray super quick, really light coats, and just build it up." Um, but that was the only time that we had something that was really thin. Everything else is like thick as fuck. It's like we could lay it on there, like it's not going to run. It's like really hard to make a mistake on it, unless you have
Yeah,
shit in your paint.
I was pretty disappointed when I opened the bucket and put a stir stick in it, and right off the bat I was like, these motherfuckers lied to me. You know what I
They
mean?
got you.
That Yeah, that fucking lied to me. So, I fucked around with that 1 teaspoon of thickening agent, and it didn't do shit, dude.
Yeah.
So I'm like, fuck it. I'm gonna jack this shit. And, I ended up, like I said, being 13 times the recommended amount.
So they should essentially have like viscosity ratings for every gallon, like alcohol rating for
Yeah.
Jack Daniels. Yeah.
Well, you
So
know, the
so it's
the rep had told me, he's like, sorry about those fives, because I sent him videos, and you could distinctively tell that the 5 gallon buckets were half as thin as the gallons.
I saw
So
your video.
yeah,
I was
so
like, wow.
they comped it to me, but I think I'm gonna end up, bidding some cabinet jobs with this shit, and proceeding with it. The grain fill is really good on the 1107. I didn't back roll any doors and have to sand back down and then prime again. I just fucking, like I said, this place is not critical in terms of quality, but I grain filled, it grain filled in one coat. I can still see the waves of the wood and stuff, but it completely grain filled all the small grooves in the oak in one coat.
Vertically or horizontal?
No, horizontally. Yeah.
Okay.
So I loaded that shit though horizontally, and fucking,
One thing I
you can't
notice is
load it
it,
like that vertically.
yeah, it dries down a lot. So you could put it on, well, with the
Yeah.
Elva specifically, you could put it on pretty heavy, but it'll peel back from the corners. So if we're doing like we did this cabinets in like a blue, like your shirt, Sam, and it's peeling back from the corners, and so it's like you're having to put like 4 or 5 coats on to get that white tiny edge of the corner to build on.
Yeah.
But
Oh,
it'll
yeah.
shrink
I
a lot.
noticed that with the 1107 being white, and then when I got into the top coat with it being, I think the color's like 7008 or some shit. So it's very close to just being a straight white. It's got a shot of black and a shot of yellow or gold or something in it, but it looks like a bone white. But I noticed that I was hoping I could get it to cover in one coat of top coat, and no, at that stage I was still figuring out the primer. But in terms of vertical hang, like if you are to put that much thickening agent in it, like I don't know if you'd want to back roll cabinets, or if you'd want to thicken it enough to where you just say fuck it and do two moderate coats of primer.
Yeah, I shot emerald urethane today in dark blue on the lower cabinets, and I had some Envirolac left over for the white upper cabinets, and it was super humid today, and I had a few little runners, and I just went back with the foam roller and touched them up on the first coat, and I ended up doing three on the dark blue, just super fast mist coats, and finally got it. And probably have to sand a few out tomorrow. I just didn't care when I left.
Yeah, I think you would like this. You would probably, if you're having problems with vertical hang, you would like this 400 series. With 30 milliliters of thickening agent, it'd be worth trying.
Yeah, I think they could ship here. I'm sure. I have been Envirolac shipped in, so
Yeah, it's worth a shot.
but
Like if that's the thing, that's what has always kept me away from trying all these 2K coatings is, they're akin to water-based lacquers like Chem Aqua, and I don't want to have to buy a fucking air assist to spray this kind of shit. And you see all these blue jean painter types that are pushing these products, and I don't know what the deal is, but I haven't fed into any of it. But I just don't see how people are shooting that shit right out of the can and being like, oh, this is fucking amazing and it has awesome vertical hang, and I don't see it
yeah,
that fucking way.
I'm using the diaphragm pumps for mine, and still having small issues with it. But I just not spraying fast enough or using too big of a tip. But hey, at certain some of these jobs, it doesn't matter. The ones that do matter, I'm actually paying attention to. But yeah,
Centurion told me this thickening agent can be put into any paint.
oh
That's
cool.
Dude, it might be worth ordering a quart of this shit and playing with it, and it will fucking change your viscosity. If you put in 30 milliliters into a gallon of product, it's going to completely change your game.
Definitely. Oh, yeah, I could see the potential of it. So, Centurion, if you guys are watching this, why don't you just send me a couple quarts there
There you
for me
go.
to try out? Yeah.
I'll send you one, dude. I've got an extra one. I'll send you one if you want.
If
Mm,
I had started testing with the water based products, so I just started with Ilva. That's we have a local dealer here, um, and I just got lucky. That's the one I started with. Their paint is super thick, like all of it, super thick, way thicker than regular paint. Um, but if I would have started with any of these ones that are thin out of the can, I probably wouldn't be using it right now because it's like that. This is what happened with the water based lacquers. Like when did they start coming out? 7 or 8 years ago, 10 years ago, maybe. They were
about
so
10,
thin,
yeah, 10,
so
15 years.
thin.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I remember making the switch from lacquer to water-based lacquers because the whites didn't yellow. That was my
yeah.
selling point.
So thin though. Like you had to build it up so much. I hated it. I hated working with them. But yeah, if I had started with that when we started doing testing a couple years ago with the water-based products, I probably would have ditched it. But we got lucky, and all of our Ilva stuff is super heavy, really easy to use. How do you like the finish? Hard, smooth coatings.
Yeah, so the primer, dude, I've been testing like surface tension and stuff, and I've been very impressed. Now, when I think of powdering, I think of white lacquer undercoater, and I think of everyone being covered from fucking head to toe in dust. Now,
Yeah,
whatever, acrylic primers that I sand, or, even some oil primers. Nothing really seems to powder like like everyone says that it does.
Yeah.
I don't think this product powders that well, but it sands decent. So when I think of powdering, I think of white lacquer undercoater just straight up. Now in terms of hardness and surface tension, I've been extremely impressed with how well this shit sticks, dude. Like this shit dries so fucking hard. Like even over plastic, like flake resistant plastic. I went to push on my plastic. You know how you can push on your plastic and it will bend a little and your paint will kind of pop loose. The plastic will just break and this shit stays in place. Like it won't break loose off of your plastic. I mean, that's how hard the shit sticks. So I think that it would be a pretty viable primer for going over shitty pre-primed, door casings and stuff. Get all your, pre-sand, get your putty done. Um, Shoot a light coat of 1107 and hand sand that shit, and then run your caulking and then your top coats. So I'm testing. I don't really have a viable primer for stuff like that, so I'm testing it as a primer for emerald urethane right now.
I've seen some
Um,
guys doing that. I saw a few posts recently where guys are using these 2K primers and then putting a regular water base over it, like an emerald or
yeah,
whatever. Pick your trim paint.
dude, I felt confident enough that I just shot door jams day before, or I just shot door jams yesterday in Windows, and I came to work today and I fucking put tape right on that shit.
Yeah.
That's how hard it felt and how
Hmm.
dried down. It felt so. Thumbnail test. I showed no signs of like unstable surface tension, so I put tape on it today. Next day. So
With the Envirolac, like when we used to put stuff between our doors to transport them to the job, and I'm like, just stack them on top of each other and throw them in the
yeah,
truck. They're durable, man. Like
Yeah, I still put stuff in
it's
between
insane.
mine, but I do believe I
Yeah.
could I could not put stuff if I wanted to. Yeah, it's a hard coating, really slick.
now with the 400 series, I'm sure there's guys out there that are like, hey, you need to use a harder 2K coating for like a cabinet finish. The 400 series, it feels silky smooth. I the only thing in terms of adjustment that I had to do to it, as I said, 30 milliliters of thickening agent, and it feels fucking hard. I put thumbnails to it the very next day. I didn't go crazy, but it feels silky smooth, feels dry.
I
I
I've got boards that when I was so I've been doing testing on this stuff probably for like a year before we started using it on customers' houses. And so I had sample doors and stuff like that where I just sprayed product straight over raw wood. I went over primed wood, did the whole deal. Everything I'm doing with FPE right now, basically. And on this the paint right over raw wood, like I could fucking take a key to it. And not like these little bullshit tests where, you see on Instagram where the
Right.
guy's like, look, it doesn't even scratch, like you can tell they're not putting any pressure on it. Like I could grind that key in there and it's like it'll shave paint off, because it has a sharp edge, but it's not doing anything to it, man. It's crazy. It's really impressive.
Well, I just want to thank you guys for trying FPE and letting me know not to bother with it. I kind of already knew, like, it
yeah,
sounds like a pain in the ass, but I
dude,
appreciate that you guys are
I
doing the work for me.
legit I tried to buy the oil primer and the fucking oil eggshell top coat for those fucking cabinets, and they were out of it. I didn't have a Centurion rep set up yet, yada yada. And FPE just swore up and down to me that the fucking Eco is fucking viable for cabinets. We've got all kinds of guys that use it on cabinets. It's a viable coating. I feel like a fucking idiot for putting that shit on cabinets, dude. I feel like a fucking retard. No, like
I so
seriously, dude, it's
like
embarrassing.
we're
I
gonna
get it. I'm glad you did it.
yeah, I'm
Thank
glad
you,
you did
by the
it
way.
too, not me. uh we're gonna I don't think we're gonna have a lot of good things to say about that setup, the universal primer and the eco satin. But I do feel like I need to try out the oil based stuff now. I'm gonna order some of it and see because that product's got to be better, right? I mean, it has to
Yeah,
be.
it would
The I
have to be, but
Yeah,
like I said the last episode though, when, fucking cool, like anybody can play with paint and make it look good or whatever if you have
yeah.
experience. So what I want to know is, with putting an alkyd outdoors that is, more susceptible to fucking, you know, UV damage and shit like that. Like, what do these doors look like in a couple years? You know what I mean?
I guarantee
Oxidizing,
they're gonna yeah, oxidize, fall apart. Yeah,
cracking.
I've been anti oil exterior for many years because I've repaired so much of it, and it's
Yeah,
just yeah,
yeah,
no,
I agree.
it's like with it. I'm a skeptic, just like you guys, with any new thing that comes out with this industry, because we've all been in it so long, and there's always the new hot item. And because like social media, like we're learning a lot about new products, but even if it is new and people are swearing by it, like I still won't buy a TriTech until they've been around for 5 years, so I know I can get parts for it in
Yeah,
Yeah.
10 years.
Yeah,
That kind of
I
thing.
mean, you got to wait until like Sherwin and PPG become fucking vendors for shit like that.
yeah.
I'm not going to go buy some pump that looks like a fucking spray tech from the fucking 90s, you know what I mean? Just
So
because
I'm
people online are
guilty.
buying it.
So I bought a Tritech, but so I was at a spraying seminar, see what these guys are doing, and they were selling Tritechs there. They're doing discounts, if you buy it at their show or whatever. And I like the machine. I like it. I can't tell if it's any different than like a new Graco. If I bought a new 395, um, I like it. Smooth. Uh, they're all fucking smooth when they're brand new. They all sound really good when they're brand new. They're like, I don't know. But yeah,
So
it looks like it's not
395, what
finished.
is it? Is it 0.54 then? The GPM?
No, I got the smaller one. I think it's a T4, so it's probably more like a 390.
So then
So their
0.47.
T5, I think, is the probably a 395 comparison.
Yeah, and spray tech is the reason why I'm, biding my time and seeing, you know, with anything, if it's around for a couple of years, and I might dabble with it, and
Yeah, I used to love spray tech
if I
though.
don't need it, I
Yeah,
did too. Yeah,
I'd like
I didn't love them. I had to use them.
right there you go. Yeah, the
Yeah.
all
price
right,
was
that's
right
fair.
for the GPMs.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
exactly. I like it. I
That's
think it
what
was
your
an EP.
cheap ass bosses used.
Yeah,
yep.
That's what
And I was,
everyone knew.
and then when you became the cheap ass boss, you understood that, like, oh,
yeah,
Yeah.
made sense. I get it now.
Yeah.
they're not they're not
I
going to take care of this, so let's just get the Titan 440. They
yeah.
burn through it. We can go
I
spend
can't
$1,000.
100% say, like, if I had a crew of 5 to 10 guys, that I'd be buying them fucking Festool fucking Sanders and Graco
Yeah,
pumps, dude. I'd probably just throw them fucking the cheapest shit that I could get them,
yeah. All my guys
because they're
have
just gonna
DeWalt
fuck your shit
Sanders.
up.
Yeah,
Yeah. Because I'm on the wall using the shit myself. I want nice shit. So
that's how it is for me. I have like, yeah, nice sets of Festool all over the shop, but they're not using them. Well, I'll have them use it on certain jobs where it's like really beneficial to the project. I'll bring them out and then just be like, this fucking sander's $400. That vacuum is $800. Don't leave the shit out. Like take care of it.
yeah.
Spray poles, man. That's what I get burned through, spray poles, because they don't take it off and run water through it.
Yeah.
Oh
If they
fuck.
take it off, yeah. So I bought 5 spray poles last year, and then I got the Stain Man articulating pole, and I'm like just dead set. You clean that thing every
Have you
time.
guys have you guys used the Triad extensions? They're like
No,
clip.
I've seen them.
They're
Yeah,
cool. Clip
I've
in, clip out. Um, I fucking lost like two of them already. It's on one of my jobs. One of my guys has them at his house for sure, and they're not cheap,
yeah.
but they're pretty cool. You put on like a little fixture under the gun, screw it on, and it basically has like three prongs on it that clip into the other one. But you could swap out straight onto the gun. You can put in a 6-inch, 12-inch, 18-inch, whatever. Just twist it, put it on, and go. It's pretty neat. They're pretty
See,
cool.
I look at that like right now. I'm gonna find it. I'm gonna go grab this one that's this size, and it's gonna be dried up paint up in it, and it's not gonna work. And I'm gonna so like it's frustrating.
All right. So, do you guys have life insurance?
Negative.
Uh,
No, neither of
after
you.
looking at it.
So I got
No,
we
maybe.
got a financial planner like 2 years ago now, to set up like invest long-term investment accounts and all that, and figure out how to hide our money from the government and everything. And there's a lot of fucking ways to do it. I'm supposed to be putting my kids on payroll because I can give them
There you
money
go.
that's like tax free. No, for real. There's like all these
Your
people all
your
over Newport
allowance.
Beach. Yeah, they pay their put their kids on payroll. Um, and so we set up this life insurance policy, and uh, we're trying to do one so that it will replace my income if I die, or at least get close to it, get somewhere in
Yeah.
there. So we did a $3 million policy, which if she puts that in if I die, my wife puts it in the bank or in an investment account, it'll pay her like around $15,000 a month, you know. Um, and so I just had to do my test this week on it, my blood test to renew it. So it's a 20-year term policy. I pay like
Oh wow.
$320 a month, 320 a month. So it's not
I just had to get
terrible.
out of earshot. I had to get out of earshot of my wife if we're going to talk about this kind
Yeah.
of thing. uh, that's my concern. Like, am I going to start getting fed arsenic if I have a life insurance policy?
I know. It's a little sketchy, like with those big numbers. Like that's real money.
Yeah.
There's some motivation to end it.
I know she has one that has me as a beneficiary, and I was supposed to do mine. I just haven't done it yet.
Yeah, I've
I'm
got
working
so
on
I have that one and I have another one. Who's it through? It's probably I think it's through my auto insurance company or my renter's insurance or whatever. That one's like 100 grand. And she has a
it.
life
Yeah,
insurance policy, and
I'm a
it's only 250K.
I'm a smoker, so mine is ridiculously
Yeah.
expensive.
So I tested last year. I did it, and I used to smoke, and I was chewing nicotine gum. And so last year when I tested for it, the insurance agent's like, do you smoke? Do you use any nicotine at all? I was like, yeah, I use nicotine gum sometimes. It's like, all right, you have to not use that. You can't test positive for that, on this thing. Otherwise, your rates are going to be high. They might not even give you a 20-year term on it. Um, and so we did the test last year, and I didn't have any gum or anything like that for like 4 or 5 days before the test. And so did the test, and in some part of the paperwork, I had said yes. Have you used nicotine within the last 2 weeks or something like that. I was like yes, nicotine gum. And then I tested, no nicotine in my system at all. But because I wrote in there that I used nicotine, within the last 2 weeks, fucking dinged me. So then we had to do a 1 year policy only and then retest again this year. So just last week or this week, I tested again, all clean. So now we get to do a 20-year policy.
So I'm afraid to go to doctors right now, man, just because like once they've already established, you know, I'm on the list,
Yeah, now you have a paper
and then they
trail.
start, oh, yeah, pre-existing, pre-existing,
Yeah.
pre-existing. Nope, you're pre-existing. Yeah,
Yep.
I just see that happening in the future.
Yeah. Yep. All right. And then one other thing for me this week, I had an old lawsuit come up. Not it was me suing someone else, not them suing me. I do have some of those too, but we could talk about those another time. So I had this lady who we did this project like eight or 9 years ago, and she was in Coda de Caza, which is like a really high end area out here. They're like ranch style homes, big property in Orange County. Um, they might have like a 6 or 7 thousand square foot house, but it's on like an acre or 2 acres. And it's just this one community. It's all gated, secluded, whatever. And so she supposedly bought a house there. She contracted us to do the painting there. She had like new carpet people in there, new whatever, all kinds of new shit. And she had paid a deposit, $1,500 or something like that. It was like a $10,000 job. And then when we got to the end, she never paid the balance and kept like, oh, we're going to be getting a check. I'm just going to have my investor get in touch with you. They'll handle payment. So I get, text message from James. It says, "Yes, please let me know what your information is, and I'll mail you a payment. So sorry, blah blah blah." That shit went on for like 2 or 3 weeks, and then all of a sudden James died. Now I'm dealing with someone else. It's like this whole they just drug this shit out, and apparently they did this to all the contractors. Nobody knew, but they were doing this to all the contractors, and so we ended up. I have a lawyer whom he likes. He's he actually owns the tool rental yard nearby where my office is. His dad had this company for like 50 years, and so he just fell into it. But he's a lawyer. He got a law degree, all that stuff. He loves practicing law and suing people and all that shit. Um, and so he takes on these cases. Like if I run into him, he's like, "Oh yeah, whatever happened with that job? You want me to send them a letter? Like, give me the information on it. Let me dig into it a little bit." So he digs into it. Apparently, this lady has been guilty of fraud and shit like this before. So he's like, "Do you mind if I take it on? I'll take whatever X% of whatever we win." I'm like, "Yeah, go for it." So that money's gone to me. And so I ended up suing her and won the lawsuit, but she didn't have any money, so she didn't pay it. And then I just got a call this week from the DA, the district attorney office for Orange County, saying that this person is in jail and wanted to see if I'm still interested in pursuing getting my money back. If I have, they were saying that I'm listed on this whatever fraud claim thing, and there's restitution and blah blah blah. I was like, well, that's fucking weird, but yeah, it's pretty interesting.
Are you gonna do it?
Yeah,
Take
I
it.
don't have
Take
to.
it to
I
the
don't have to
hill,
do.
man.
Yeah, I
Prove
don't
it
have to
to
do anything. I don't have to do anything. I just
him.
tell
Nice.
them how much the old balance was. It's like $8,000 or $9,000.
I had that. I had that happen, but I didn't sue the guy. Yeah, that was the family's forte. Like, they had a dad's building company, and they bankrupted it, and they put it in the wife's name, bankrupted it, and then it was in this guy's name, and they owed eight. They owe. I don't say owed. They probably still owe 8 million in unpaid contractors,
Wow.
and they got me for 3 grand, and I have a list. I have a list of those people,
Yeah.
and if I ever get a debilitating disease, I'm gonna go pay them all a visit and just I, I'm
Yeah.
on my way out. And I'm gonna take a
Yep.
kneecap or something.
Yeah. I have two of those. So I had that lady and I had one other one that was like a Canadian company who was buying up restaurants and shit. And I had done uh, all the exterior painting for their building, and they paid everything, paid on time, paid no problem. And then we got to the interior, and then they didn't pay the interior. Um, and then they closed the restaurant, skipped town, like fuck, weird. And this lawyer guy, same deal, like, hey, let me look into it. And so he ended up suing them, but he found out that like these people have defrauded under different names, different aliases, but they're Canadian people. They just go back to their country and nobody does anything about it. But weird. But I,
I
I have a
Google it.
bunch of them.
I Google every client now, just
Yeah.
in depth detail. Like, who is this person? Why are they calling me?
I have a bunch that owe me like $1,000 or $250 or, you know, a ton of those. Just people don't fucking pay
They're on
that
my list
last little
too.
bit. Yeah.
Even even for that small amount, they're on that list. They didn't
Yeah.
get excused because it was
They just
under
lower on the list.
5,000. They're on the list. It doesn't matter
Yeah.
because the way they went about it, because I took it as like an insult, and it was just like, you know what, we worked hard. I pay my guys anyway, even though we didn't get paid. Um, we did good work, blah blah blah. Uh, there was no beef with that. It was just, well, the one guy he tried to make it like we were the worst painters in the world, but ended up trying to paint it himself because it was a three-part craft paint on metal where we used Bondo and ground down all the welds on the storefront in Ala Moana, the new, Waikiki shopping center. And then he tried to paint it himself with the paint we left, which was the wrong paint. And yeah, it made me laugh. It made me laugh, but I really don't like that guy.
Yeah.
I can't. I ran into him once actually. when I was taking my contractor license, he was taking his as well, and I had to sit right next to him.
Yeah, no shit.
It was the craziest thing. Like I could not believe that he was even getting a license and had the ability to get one because they have already been revoked several times, and I did not pass the test that day because I was just wanting to stab him in the face with a pencil, and it just really threw my concentration off. And I waited outside the building for him, and he took another way out.
Yeah, I had this week McGuire painting the guy that won the gun on the for the paint sniffer Instagram thing we did. He came over to my shop. He's like in Mission Viejo or Irvine or something like that, and he just got his contractor's license like a month ago, something like that. It's pretty. It's not that hard here, I guess, but you do have to jump through hoops. In California, to get licensed, you have to
It's
take
just
tests.
it's the same test here. It's the C33 is the same in California and Hawaii, and
Okay.
yeah, it's a ridiculous nightmare of paperwork. And if you don't fill out the paperwork correctly, they don't even tell you how or why. They want you to take the classes, and if you don't, you try and do it without it. It's just a pain.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
lose your application fee. Your application fee is like $350. If you fill out the application wrong, they reject it and you lose your fee. Like there's a lot that can go wrong doing it.
and the book is from the PDCA from like 1985. That's why I'm not a fan of the PCA because if that's going to set the standard for the next 20 years, it was ridiculous asking questions about turpentine and like
Yeah.
I had to dumb down just so I could pass that test.
If like, can you fail it and then retake it or anything?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was
Yeah, you just have to pay a
six
new fee.
chances.
Yeah.
You have to do it within 6 months if you of being approved, and to get approved is a freaking nightmare. And once you get approved, then you have 6 months to take it, and you can take it once a month, scheduled for testing. I'm sure there's more testing places in California, so you could probably take it more.
What
And
do you mean by
I had a
6 months to get approved?
So the process is you fill out an application, right? It's a paper application. You put in there like your proof of 4 years of journeyman experience, right? So it's like I could use you as a contractor, put your contractor's license number in there, and you verify that I have 4 years of journeyman level experience. I can use clients from the past. Um, so you have like 3 or 4 references that would verify 4 years of journeyman level experience. And then you're filling out information like name, address, street, all that stuff, blah blah blah. Um, if they approve, so you send that off to the state with like $350 application fee. If they approve it, then you have to get all your like you have to get a live scan done, like FBI database check, like all that shit. Um,
a tax clearance
yeah, so you have to
signature,
go, you have to get
all
all that
that.
stuff done. Once you get cleared on that, then you schedule a test date. Um, the classes that you take, you don't have to take the classes if you don't want to, technically, but it's like $1,000, and it's like a 1 weekend thing, 8 hours Saturday, 8 hours Sunday. You're just taking tests over and over and over again, all different versions of the same test. Um, they're like guaranteed to pass tests. So if you fail, they'll let you do the class again for free, and then you go in and take the test. But so you have to do it within 6 months of completing all that application stuff. So you have a deadline, right? Like you complete all your paperwork and approvals today. You have till like June or July or August to get it all done, to get all your testing done, to pass your test. So, and then there's a state law portion of the test and then a trade portion of the test. The law portion is like, you know, um, what is considered an employee, what is considered a subcontractor. Do you have to carry workers' compensation? Why do you carry workers' compensation? Like shit like that. And then the trades test is like, how far away does a ladder need to be from a surface based on the height? Like shit like that.
4-to-1 ratio.
All right, how's
Yeah.
this one?
4 to 1.
If, if this room is this big and then you're going to put wallpaper on, how many rolls of wallpaper do you need
Yeah.
um,
For square footage.
for square footage to
Uh-huh.
so again because if you have to buy more than 6 rolls because you only need it's just
Yeah. It's shit
insane.
like that
You
for real.
you have to test on wallpaper.
It's first square footage. Yeah, yeah. Yep.
That's part of our trade.
Sam, and your projects this week, you just got that kitchen thing you're working on. I saw you had that deck today on your Instagram deal.
The dock, yeah, the
Doc, yeah.
dock on out in the bay. Yeah, we just wrapped up that historic home, and I might have a few little touch ups on that. And we're doing this little temporary cabinet paint, I'm calling it, because they're going to remodel the kitchen next year, so they just wanted some color. And yeah, I've got a bid tomorrow and a bid Saturday, interior exteriors. So we'll probably get rocking on those. And then I have some of the temporary clients, like the music school we've been working on. They're just filler clients.
That looks like a cool project. You got like cool colors going on, different finishes. It's kind of neat.
Yeah. Yeah, and the guy that runs it, I grew up with him here, and he helps me with my music programs and stuff. And yeah, it's cool. And, yeah, I get to jam on their piano while I'm there.
Yeah. Are you doing are you doing a lot with music these days? You spend a lot of time doing it? You have
I
like a few
do. That's what
bands
I
and all
love.
that? Yeah.
I do, man. That's my hobby. When I'm not working, I motivate to music. Probably going to be singing for a Black Sabbath cover band, a tribute band.
That's
I
cool.
went and tried out, and they've already got a gig, so scheduled next month. So I find out Tuesday. I went and tried out, and I did great. I just my timing was off, so I didn't know half the songs. So I'm gonna go. I'm gonna learn that and possibly do a gig with them, and it's fun. And then played a gig last weekend for a memorial service on the beach, which is really fun. Yeah, the Hawaiian reggae band. That's my. I've been with those guys for 8 years, and it's the best group of guys you could ever play with and hang out with. And I live for that shit for sure.
Nice. Aaron, I saw you doing some shredding on the guitar recently.
Yeah, my old lady got me a 7 string for my birthday, so
Yeah.
I've been
Where'd you
I've
learn to
been wait.
play?
Dude, I haven't played in a long time, but I was self taught. I played when I was in Orange County. I played a little bit, electric, and then when I moved to Missouri, there was nothing to do. Like I moved from fucking surfing and skating every day to the middle of the fucking woods. The roads were chipping still. I couldn't skate. I couldn't do any
Oh
fucking
shit.
thing. So I got a Fender Squire Strat and I sat there just playing every day until my fingers bled. And I did that for a few years and then fucking ended up, you know, smashing my electric in a rage and just would pick up an acoustic over the last 20 years like every once in a while. So I'm
The
just now
Fender Squire, that's like the $200 one.
dude, this yeah, it was like 96 or 97 when I had that, I
I had a PV Predator. That was the first guitar I had. It was probably like 96 or 97.
yeah.
PV
So when I
Predator.
had the Fender
Yep.
Squire Strat, I had 3 strings on it, and my mom wouldn't buy me any more strings. So
Shit. That
that
sucks.
was how I kind of learned how to like play. I play thrash. Was all I had was like 3 fucking strings, and then eventually
That's all
I
you
started
need.
playing acoustic and stuff.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. All I learned, so I play my older brother had bands. He was like 5 years older than me. And he had some really good players on his in his bands, But they were like the grunge days, so they're doing a lot of Nirvana, a lot of punk rock during that time. So I learned a lot of that shit. Basically just, power chord everything. But I learned how to play the drums a little bit. Like I would be able to fill in, if someone wasn't there for practice or whatever. So if the drummer was gone, I could at least hold a beat. You know, I couldn't drum fast or fast beats or anything, but I could hold a beat.
I smell a paint sniffers band coming. Paint sniffers band.
Yeah, yeah,
I've actually I've been writing all the music lately for my videos because of the copyright issue. So for Instagram and Facebook and I'm gonna put them all on YouTube at some point. But I want to have my own music and I got a guy that comes over and we just I think of something like the other day I did one called Funky Paint Lines, and then of course Paint on My Dick is a hit. I mean, if you guys haven't heard that yet,
that's an
that
obvious one.
that's gonna top the charts, in the paint world, as it should, because everybody's had that issue, guaranteed. Or you're a painter.
do you have any nice guitars in that collection, Sam? Any
I
real
do.
special ones? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I have one that was my great great uncle's great, maybe three greats. It's from 1898. It's an old parlor acoustic guitar that my great aunt
Wow.
gave me, and that's kind of my prized possession guitar. And then
Yeah,
uh,
that's cool.
I have I, I have a Bad Brains band in DC limited that I love to play. It all depends on what I'm doing, is what I'm playing. And my cheap Squire that I have that I built myself is my favorite one to play. I got it for $60. Built it myself with all pickups, and I play it at gigs. It's the most reliable one, and it has that sound that I want for that
Well, I think a lot of the
band.
even though if you get the old guitars, the shitty ones were still good like for today's standards, you know, because like
Yeah.
nowadays, like the Mexican Strat is not as good as the American Strat, but it's just because it's like it doesn't hold the tune as long, like you know that kind of shit. But the electronics are not as good. Um, but like the old, there's like old Japanese Fenders that are really sought out, you know. Um, my brother had a Gibson SG. It was like a 60. What was it? Was an old one. I don't know if it was late 60s or early 70s. Um, Badass guitar. And one of his friends stole it. Like fucking, you know, they were all into drugs and shit. So he just took off one day, went out to see his dad in Vegas or something like that, and the guitar was gone. Never saw it again.
No, my studio here is like Fort Knox. I mean, it has codes on the door to get in, and yeah, you're gonna need a chainsaw to get into my jam room.
I came from an extremely toxic relationship, so I'd go huge periods of not playing or whatever. But like anytime I got pissed off, that's what I did was smash my guitars.
Yeah.
I
I
just
have
pawned mine.
that was the same for me. That's how I lost all my shit over like, you know, pawn it, fucking get, you know, $50 or whatever. Buy some new
Okay,
shit
so
after.
have you guys ever pawned any paint equipment or any tools? Have you ever had to do that in your career?
I've
I've
pawned tools
when
for sure.
I
Uh,
started like I tried to go into business for myself, like like a soft start. I had spent a couple years, I built my credit up. I opened my Sherwin Williams account, and then I was financing like sprayers and pressure washers while I was working for somebody else and just trying to build my way up into going into business for myself. And I made that work for I want to say about a year and a half, 2 years, and then I slowed down, and I ended up going to work this last run for this last guy I worked for 4 years, running his logistics. But dude, I changed my phone number, I sold all my tools, and I just like fully immersed myself into running his business, and you know, whatever. Like, I mean, it wasn't very much shit, but like I've accumulated like 50 grand in tools in the last couple years, but I've never really sold tools out of desperation. No, it's always, fuck. You remember back in the day when like a putty brush was like fucking almost $50?
yeah.
It's
Do you remember
crazy.
those days, like in the '90s? Like a 3.5 inch pip or a 4 inch pip was like fucking $48 or whatever it was.
Yeah, I
$48,
do
yeah.
remember that.
Like, and
That's
it
And
was
then
like,
crazy.
fuck, I gotta buy a new brush, dude. None of that shit was
sure,
provided.
Yeah.
Sherwin had those like octagon shaped brushes. I like those, but they had the like 8-sided, like it was almost an oval, but it was like octagon-y. I would use those in lieu of a pip.
I have pawned stuff so many times over the years. Thankfully, I haven't had to do it in a while, but I did that shit a lot. I fucking, I, I was broke a lot of times.
I've sold all of my paint equipment and just up and moved probably about 5 times in my life from just wanting to change. Business has always been good. Anytime I've ever started, I would have slow periods where I'd have to do like winter times, I'd have to do something. But yeah, this is why I moved to Hawaii so I can work year round. And if you can't make it year round here, it's just time to throw in the towel or the tools, pawn
I
them.
always struggled working for other people, but I would put my my head down and fucking I'd work 17 hours a day. I didn't give a fuck. Like I was gonna be, top guy in the totem pole. I was gonna do more than anyone. I was gonna put more effort into anything so I could advance. And it was fucking I went through hard times and shit, but I could never do the pawn shop thing. Like I did it a couple of times, but it pissed me off so bad. I could see like going there and killing them. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
fucking selling them all
Yeah.
your shit and fucking they give you nothing for it, and then they
Yeah.
fucking you know
That's
what I
what's
mean? Like,
terrible is
no,
like you
dude.
go in there with like a $400 saw.
Parasites, man.
Yeah. They're like, I'll give you 25 bucks. Like, fuck, man. It's so messed
Yeah.
up. Uh,
Yeah. And Pawn Stars came out, and nobody pawns anything anymore.
yeah. Yeah. No
That
shit.
show.
As always, please like our YouTube page. Give us 5-star only reviews on all podcast platforms. If you have questions or comments, send them over to hello@paintsniffers.com or on Instagram at paint_sniffers.
You can also watch the video version of the podcast on the Alpha Painting YouTube page. Go to playlists and it will be filed under Paint Sniffer Podcast. Via YouTube, you can write into QA@paintsniffer.com.
Thank you for listening to Paint Sniffer Podcast.